Hello, everyone. Welcome to our workshop today. My name is Vicente Diaz. I am from VirusTotal. And here we have in this joint webinar with our friends from SentinelOne, we have Marco Figueroa and Gerardo Fernández. So thank you, all of you guys, for joining us today. We will have a very interesting workshop where we will be learning how to use the plugins for IDA and Ghidra, VirusTotal plugins for these two disassemblers, probably the most popular ones, as far as I know. We want to thank, again, SentinelOne, not only for joining us today in this workshop, but also for creating their amazing plugin for Ghidra. We really want to thank them. You can find more information in their blog post if you want to take a look. And also, you can simply download and use it. And in this session today, we will learn how to do so. We both have a very similar view, SentinelOne and VirusTotal, in the sense of sharing back with the community. And this is the reason why they created this. And well, we are really here just to show you how we think we can do things better, how we can make everybody's lives easier. And if you have any ideas, any feedback, we are more than happy to hear. So the session today, it will be two talks. First will be Marco, and then will be Gerardo. And after that, we will have a Q&A session. So please write down all of your questions here in the same platform in Zoom. You can simply go to Q&A and write them down. And at the end of the session, we will have this live Q&A, and we will answer all of them. So I think that's all from my side. I will be back at the end of the presentations from Marco and Gerardo, and we will go through our Q&A. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you find it useful. Without further delay, we will start with Marco's presentation.
Hi, my name is Marco Figueroa. I'm a principal threat researcher at Sentinel Labs. My technical expertise includes reverse engineering, incident handling, threat intelligence, and APT hunting. Previously, I spent the last 7 years at Intel as a senior security researcher. Let me give you a quick demo of VT grep Ghidra. Go over and browse to the Sentinel Labs GitHub page. Go to VT grep Ghidra, download the zip. The VT grep README has the installation notes, a summary of features, and some examples of general usage. You want to go ahead and unzip it. Go into the folder, copy it, go into your scripts folder, paste it in there. And then what you want to do is open up Ghidra. We'll open it up. We have a sample, a Ryuk sample, ransomware, that we're gonna load into Ghidra. I'm gonna hit OK. It's gonna take some time to process. All right, we're gonna load it up. We're going to do the analysis on it. Now, while that's being analyzed, we're going to go ahead and go to the scripts directory. We're going to go and add where we have the script located at, the VT grep, which is in our C drive. We're going to hit OK. We're going to hit dismiss, and we're going to go ahead and reload it so we can see it. Now, once it's reloaded, you can type VT, and you'll see the VT grep with the icons. Here's the shortcut key, Control-Alt-F9. You're going to select that. And as you can see, the icon has been loaded. You could also use the search VT-grep, which is here. So let's take a look at the sample. It's almost finishing loading up. All right, almost done. When I'm looking at a binary, what I like to do is look around, look at the strings or functions and see if anything really sticks out to me. Something like this. So I'm just going to grab this function. I'm going to highlight this entire function and hit the VT-grep icon. You're going to see a window pop up. We're going to open this up so you can get to see it, what's in there. So all items in the selection range will have an entry in the table, even non-instructions. So users may click on an item in the table and mask it. So for the D icon, this masks all data, non-instructions as well. If you click on the O icon, this masks all operands. So operand 1 and 2 will be deselected. And you could mask all scalars. Now, you could also enter bytes manually. That's pretty cool if you want to modify or do something, add some other strings to add to the Yara rule. Now, one of my favorite features of VT-grep is to generate similar queries. This identifies memory offsets or addresses in currently selected areas and ignore them when searching. So you can highlight it and then do that. You can also generate similar query strict, which does the same as what I just mentioned, but it also ignores all the constants in the currently selected area. So if you click on that and then you click on the search button, it opens up VirusTotal and looks for the similar binaries that have that specific pattern. So it's going to load up and we have 13. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. The other thing I do like as well is that the Ryuk binary is signed with a certificate, and hit search, or you could click on that and it searches for files that are signed by the same certificate, and you can see there's 16. You could also select search for imp hash, which searches for files with the same import hash, and you see 11. Now, one of the things I like doing as an analyst and a reverse engineer is look for certain things that catch my eye, right? So one of the things I would look at when reversing this is like, oh, this is very unique, right? So I would highlight this, and I want to search just for this specific string because it's so unique. If there's other binaries out there with that specific string, I know, oh, this is definitely Ryuk. So, you know, there's 12 files on VirusTotal with that. And the cool thing I find that I use a lot is the Yara rule generator, right? So I like this. This saves me a lot of time. So I'll just put Ryuk special string. I'll grab this, copy that, and then I will go to VirusTotal and go into rule sets, hit a null rule set, grab that, hit Control V, and I'm going to save this as Ryuk special string. Now, anytime I could put my email here, but I'll save and close that. And anytime this string comes out into a binary, I'm going to get a notification. So that's pretty cool. I highly recommend VT-grep for anyone that reverse engineers malware that is a threat hunter. This utility is a must. It saves you time and it helps you find additional clues when you're reversing. Like I said in the beginning of this video, we want to provide value to the cybersecurity community. With that being said, we want you guys to contribute, make pull requests, and if you want any additional features added to VT-grep, reach out to us on GitHub and we'll be happy to add the feature in there.
Hello, my name is Gerardo Fernández from the VirusTotal team. In this presentation, I will introduce the VirusTotal plugin that was released last year. What can we do with it, and in what way it can help us during the analysis of disassembled code. So what is this plugin for? It provides an easy way to search for a sequence of bytes or similar code directly from the IDA Pro interface. Just select an area in the disassembly of debugging windows. Right-click and choose one of the search methods provided. You can also look for similar strings in the string window. We'll see in a few minutes how it works in a short demonstration. 2 blog posts were published last year, where you can take a look at how we can use this plugin in a real-life investigation. Okay, so how can we find similar code? We can see in this slide 2 sequences of code of the track malware. One of them was submitted in October 2019 and the other one in March of the same year. They are quite similar, only differ in the value of memory offsets and addresses. If we are analyzing the October sample, it would be nice to realize that there was a previous version submitted some months before. So in order to search for similar code, we should get rid of all these differences. This way the rest of the bytes will match. And this is how this plugin works, by analyzing the instructions and ignoring operands related to memory addresses. It will then translate this set of instructions into a query that VT-grep understands. Okay, let's see with an example. Today we are using the same real example to demonstrate these 2 plugins' functionality. So let me remind one of the interesting sequences of code that we can find in this sample. It's a window executable file containing an export function, and this is quite suspicious and uncommon in a trusted Windows executable, so it well deserves a deeper look. Just by right-clicking inside this function, we can select search for similar functions to check all the samples that contain a similar sequence of instructions. We got 13 results. They are presented in a web browser. If you take a look, you will realize that they have very close emission dates and sizes. And as you can imagine, all of them have been identified as real malware by some antivirus engines. But there's another way to look for similar samples. The name of this exporting function is very peculiar. So let's look for samples containing this string. This time we got 14 files, one more than looking for code similarity. Okay, fine. So right now we've been looking for similarities in the static disassembly. We could also use this plugin during a debugging session in order to look for similar code that was previously compressed or encrypted. Okay, let's execute the sample to look for some interesting code at running time. Soon after executing this sample, we see a call EAX instruction. Here it will invoke the Spartan function. So let's go through it. This function will perform the following operations. It will locate the encrypted payload embed into the file. Then it will allocate some memory space, decrypt the payload into this newly allocated memory space, and finally it will execute the payload. This payload is what we are looking for. So let's see how to get to it. First, it will look for some functions in the NTDLL library that will be used later to get the memory address of a resource embedded into the executable, the encrypted payload. This is the address where this resource is located. The next thing to do is to allocate the space for storing the decrypted payload. Here is the address where this payload will be stored. Let's show this memory area here at the left. Okay, now the sample will start to decrypt the payload into the previously allocated space. There are some instructions into this function to delay the debugging process, but I already patched them so we can go on and see what content has it written in the new memory space. So here it is. If we execute a few more instructions, we'll realize soon that this new memory address will be used for executing the decrypted payload. Let's dig into it for a while. This address contains the decrypted payload. We can see here a short function that reveals something quite interesting. First, it stores the memory address of the next instruction into the stack. It will copy it later into the EAX register. Second, by adding this number to the EAX register, we will discover a new embedded executable into this memory space. We can see on the left panel. A few more instructions later, this function will make a call to another core stored just below. Here. So we have another function here. Okay, so it's clear now that this code will perform some operations with the embedded PA file we just found. At this point, we can use the BT plugin to look for other samples containing a similar sequence of instructions. We can select a large area of code and check what we get. We are getting some files that seem to be memory dumps, and probably because of this, we are getting a low number of positives. The time frame is also close to the submission date of our original sample. We can check some of these files and we realize that they are emoted malware. Okay, so this code has been seen in other emotet samples. That's something we didn't know when we started our analysis, and we only needed some clicks to get to this information. These are just some of the possibilities you have by using this plugin. But let's get a sneak peek now of what's coming in the next release. The next version of the VT IDA plugin will focus on two tasks. First, collect all the information from our database to assist during the reversing process and present it conveniently. Second, use the information collected to enrich the disassembled code. So how is it going to be done? There will be an information panel in the IDA Pro interface containing 3 information blocks: generate information that provide context about the file being studied, analysis information containing both static and dynamic information, but just info that could be useful during the code analysis process, and evidence found in the IDA database file, both static and dynamic info found, and options to enrich the disassembled code. This release will be useful both for our premium and free users. Depending on the privileges associated with your API key, you will get more or less information on this panel. Okay, so how does it look? Here is a screenshot of a preliminary version where you can get a glimpse of the new features. At the right, there will be an information panel containing 3 tabs corresponding to the 3 information blocks I was talking about before. You can also see here 2 samples of the type of enrichment that will be performed in the disassembled code, where a malicious URL has been identified, highlighted, and commented. Moreover, a string has been identified as the file name of a new executable that will be dropped and launched when this malware is run. That's all from my side. Thank you for attending this talk. If you have any question, here you have my contact information. We are interested in user feedback and priorities. Do not hesitate to contact us to comment about these features and suggest additional ones. So take care and have fun.
All right, so thanks a lot for these presentations to both Marco and Gerardo. And now we'll have a small Q&A with the questions that you are sending to us. So please type them down in the Q&A tab that you will find in the bottom of the Zoom app, I think. At least this is like it looks like for me. But before we go into that, I would like to have a word with Marco and Gerardo. And I would like to ask you from my side, what do you think these plugins, how they are saving time for you? What is the main advantage that you have when using them? How, from your analyst point of view, this is like making your life easier? So we can start with Marco.
It's a game changer. I mean, initially it will save you some minutes, and then you'll start seeing after you do a lot of reversing of binaries, it'll save you a lot of hours, you know? And for me, everything is a game changer, because before I used to have to use multiple tools, alt tab, do a lot of things. And now, just for example, just looking up certificates, it's so fast and easy within the tools. So to me, it's a game changer. I use it all the time. Every time I reverse a binary, I'm using the plugin every single time.
Yeah, I guess you don't need to be jumping right from the browser to the disassembler and trying to figure out things and copy pasting them.
And also using other tools like triage tools to look certain things up, right? Just like I said for the cert, sometimes I would use PE Studio. Hey, let me start triaging a file, and now I just pop it into Ghidra. Oh, it has a cert, cool. I'm gonna hit it up and go directly to see if I can pivot and see what other binaries could be associated and using that certificate.
All right. So Gerardo, tell me, I know that you are working hard in the new version of the plugin for IDA. Tell me a little bit about it. What is the most interesting feature? What do you think will be helping everyone the better of all the features that you are implementing?
Okay, I just focus in the new release on the reversing process. So I want to get all the information that's related to the reversing process. So all the information that you are going to have on the right panel, is going to be directed to just help you during the code analysis process. And also one of the main features will be that it will be able to enrich the disassembled code, not only on a static level, but also during the debugging session. So it will be able to tag, comment, and bookmark some of the strings, functions that has been related to the information collected from our database. That's basically what I think is the are the most useful features of the net release. Regarding the question you asked before, just let me say,
okay.
Sometimes the only way you have to look for similarity is by using this kind of plugins, because you cannot get them statically just looking for the coding embedded into the file. You have to run into the disassemble or run into the debugger to see what can you find related to similarity. That's quite useful as well.
Right. I like this idea of having all the context in one place. And basically, this is helping you a lot. All right, so let's go through some of the questions that we have here in our chat. I see that some of you guys do directly type in the chat. I will appreciate if you can do in the Q&A, but still, no worries. So let me start. The first one is asking when the new VT Ghidra will be available.
That was a question as well.
Man, you should be working here. Huh? Why you are wasting your time in this webinar?
On you. It does look very nice. It's very nice. Good job on that. No pressure.
Yeah, take your time.
Do you think Q2 is the release date, Gerardo?
Well, I think the release is going to be before this summer. I'm not sure how it's, I don't have a specific date, but I think it's going to be between April and May. Oh, I hope so.
Don't make hard commitments, you know, the trick here.
Regarding Ghidra?
Come on, they just released the plugin. You want them to release a new version like the next day? All right.
I would like the new one.
So here is another comment, just in case you guys have idle cycles and you're not that busy. But do you have any intent to support other reverse engineering platforms like Binary Ninja or Radare?
So
I'll go first on that. I think we're all busy. We're trying to upgrade the current tools. So at this point, maybe I don't want to commit to something and say we're going to have those plugins for, Binary Ninja, but we'll see. But we're definitely working on the current version of the plugins and trying to enhance those tools.
Yeah. I think that most of the use cases are covered with the plugins that we already have. But of course, the more, the better. Another question here is, does the plugin work with Dalvik or Java virtual machine code?
I want to say yes. If Ghidra runs on it, the plugin should work.
Yeah, regarding the Ghidra plugin, it works on Intel Code, ARM, and PowerPC right now. Anything that can be disassembled into this instruction set can be used with the plugin.
All right. So here is another question. This is interesting. They are asking about the development of such plugins. Do you all run into any odd or annoying problems with the tool's respective APIs? Do you have any stories here?
Gerardo,
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Yes, the first version of the plugin was writing with those some capabilities that you can find now in the Ghidra Pro developer kit. Okay, so I just hard code some of the instruction to detect functions. But after the first release, I realized, talking with the X-Rite guys, that there was another ways to detect this kind of function. So at the beginning, it was a bit obscure. You had to work at low level, but the next release were really easier to go forward.
Yeah, I think for me, like I write little plugins in general, and for me, sometimes I look at Ghidra's API and the documentation is well written, but a lot of it is for Java. Interpreting that to write it in Python and back and forth is difficult. So one of the issues I find is I constantly am testing over and over and over. Like, does this line work within Ghidra? So I'm using the Python interpreter within there. So for me, anytime I write small little scripts, because my belief is if you do something over and over and over again, you have to write a script for it. So I find myself taking more time to develop a script than anything. So that's what I would say with Ghidra's API. It's sometimes a pain for me, but for other people, it might be very easy.
All right, so we have one question about SentinelOne itself. Probably Marco can help me answer. And here they asked, does SentinelOne support YARA rules?
It's a good question, Migo. I know it's on the roadmap. So I know it's on the roadmap. That's one thing I would say.
So for digestion, currently the SentinelOne product does not support importing YARA rules. Some of the YARA rules, I guess most of them are not necessarily on the endpoint. Some of them are network, so it really depends. But there are some developments that bring some part of this solution in the near future. I will not be able to share them here, but feel free to reach out to me and we can introduce that. We will announce something big around that very soon.
Cool. All right, thanks for that. Here there is another question. How closely do the plugins examine the instructions? Does it also wildcard stack offsets in memory overruns? This is pretty technical.
So I can answer if you want, and then I will give the pass to Marco.
Yep.
Basically, the IDA plugin is focused on the jump and call instructions. This is the most common way to use the plugin. So you're not going to look into offset go to the stack. That's not how it works. But there is a strict mode that also look into another instructions, just in the case that you need it. Okay. By default, it's only going to ignore and not. You're just going to ignore some address and offsets found in calls and jams. Not all of them, but some of them.
Yeah, for search bytes, it contains in the selected area as is. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Just to pivot on that, one of the things that I constantly always use is lookup, imp hash, and search similar to and using strict. So for me, yeah, it's the plugin is a game changer.
All right, so here is a question. I guess this one depends on your preferences and your life as analyst, but what is your most awesome achievement using Ghidra or IDA and VirusTotal?
That's a
awesome achievement. I don't know, guys. Maybe you have some stories of something cool that you discovered.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't think it's an achievement. It's really creating a rule that is very fast and then taking that rule and saving it the way I showed in the demo, and then just getting hits off of that. So for me, that is like the achievement that I like the most, right? Finding something cool, writing a YARA rule, and getting those emails, notifications that, to me, that is awesome.
Yes, that's great. Regarding the IDA plugin, one of the things that I think was more helpful is that at the time I was working in the IDA Pro plugin, BTGRED started to be to be known by the community. So during the development of the IDA Pro plugin, I have to talk with the BT group to correct some functions and some way of it behaves, how it behaves. Okay, so this synergy was really cool because I need to reach a goal, and they have the same goal. They're working on the website and providing an API access, and now we're working on the IDA Pro interface. There's two different approaches for the same goal, no? And I think that was part of the best thing of working on the IDA Pro plugin, to just create this kind of synergy with them and fix something that was working not so well.
All right, here we have a comment. I think it's interesting. That was shared with all of us, and it says, I don't know if others have thought of this. The examples we did was in Windows. Now, if you run Rootkit Hunter on Linux systems, RT Hunter, it will tell you if it finds a suspect memory address. This can be very easy to analyze Linux malware when you use this address search function in conjunction with Rootkit Hunter. So I don't know if you guys have something to say about this idea for analysis. It was. I know it needs some time to digest, so I will just drop it here. I will jump to another question, and maybe you have later some ideas about this. Me myself, to be honest, I'm not an expert in analyzing Linux malware myself. I think it was very rare cases where I had to do that. So unfortunately, I cannot help much. I'm not very familiar with this. So in the meantime, I will jump into another question here. Well, maybe this one I can answer myself, so I will give you guys a break. Does the lookup support private graph or the ability to not upload samples to public VirusTotal? Well, in reality, we are uploading nothing to VirusTotal, right? We are simply querying, and we are retrieving the data from VirusTotal. So, well, I think this is answering the question, I hope. All right, next question here is, do you prefer, this is about your preferences. Do you prefer Ghidra or IDA Pro or something different in your day-to-day work? What is your favorite?
When it comes to that, I'm very ambidextrous. I use both of them. I just feel comfortable with both. I don't know why, but sometimes I feel like using IDA, and some other times Ghidra. Ghidra does their interface. I really wish it was better, but hey. But there are substitutions that you can use, but I use both of them. But if I had to lean to one, I would say Ghidra, but it's close, very close. It all depends.
Okay, I'm more of a IDA Pro guy, okay, to be honest. But sometimes I look Ghidra with a bit of a buy, because I think that they're implementing some very cool features. Also, just to remark that the compilation mechanism that it has is wonderful. It really works. So that's all. And just more IDA Pro guy, but I also love love Ghidra in the shadow. Okay. I also use another toys because that's not the only tools I use. Sometimes I use on Mac Hopper. Hopper is a very unknown disassembler. It works very good. It's also very cheap for a disassembler this type, and also have the compilation process. It's a wonderful tool also.
I think also for me, I think once they implement the debugger into Ghidra, I think I will use it more. And there's other tools. There's this tool that's called Sabero. For me, it's starting to take off. I use that a lot. And now they've implemented, like, you can use Ghidra, and their GUI is much better. So I would recommend people to take a look at that tool. I really enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. I think they're around 3 to 4 years away to really taking off.
All right. Well, I think we are arriving to the end of our webinar today. I think we have answered all the questions from everyone. Thanks again for sharing your ideas and your questions. And we hope this was useful. We hope this was informative. We hope this gives you some ideas, some tips how to use these plugins with your favorite disassembler. We will be very happy to get any feedback from your side. Please feel free to contact any of us if you have any ideas, if you want to request new features, or if you have some cool use cases you want to share with the rest of the community. Regarding sharing, I saw there were some questions about this. No worries, you can find in social media. We will be sharing all the materials we were discussing in this webinar. So from our side, I think that's all. We want to say a big thank you to all of you, both from VirusTotal and from SentinelOne. And we hope you enjoy it and see you next time. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
See you.